Imagine, for a moment, that you're returning to a town where you spent a lot of time as a kid. It's been around 7 years, so naturally a lot of the memories have become foggy, but it's odd that you can't seem to remember anything from back then. So you attend school like normal, meet and hang out with all kinds of people, but the more time you spend with them, the more you remember, and the more you understand that not everything is as it first appears. If you played along, thanks, but that's the premise of Kanon, which is the anime version of the visual novel which bears the same name. It also just so happens to be the spiritual prequel to my all-time favorite anime, Clannad. I was incredibly excited to begin Kanon due to my love for what came after it, but about halfway through the series, I noticed something. Kanon is the beta version of Clannad. I say that only because the series contains similar themes and situations. Ayu and Fuko are both implied to be Ikiryo, or living ghosts. The idea of wishes being granted by some omnipotent force is hinted at in Kanon only to be realized in Clannad. And even the concept of animals becoming people, which is involved in the first major arc of Kanon, is included in Clannad as a side story. It's the beta version of Clannad, as I said. It's also a mess. Kanon follows Yuichi Aizawa, a young man who is returning to a town he hasn't been to in a while to live with some extended family and attend school. If you're anything like me, given the spelling of the title, you might think there's a character named Kanon or something, but no one in the cast has that name. Rather, the title is based on the musical canon technique. If you weren't familiar, the series sufficiently explains what a canon is.
A canon is a type of song where the melody keeps repeating, and with each repetition the song grows more and more beautiful and vibrant as the new chords harmonize with each other.
So, given that in-series explanation, there's a chance the writers intended for Kanon to be a story that seems as if it's repeating. First, Yuichi is on his own, then he helps Makoto, then he helps Mai using what he learned from Makoto, then he helps Shiori using what he learned from Makoto and Mai, and so on. In each iteration, the more he remembers, the more he's able to do for his friends. At least, that's how it should have been. In reality, that's not what's happening, at least not consistently. In certain scenarios, Yuichi takes what he's learned and passes it on, but there's one key, get it, instance where he doesn't, and it makes the story fall apart. Introducing Mai, a stoic woman of few words, but who manages to be impossibly cryptic nearly every time she opens her mouth. It's confirmed in the series that Mai spends nights killing demons that lurk around their school. It's also revealed later in Mai's arc that the demons were actually created as an adverse reaction to Mai's ability to heal incurable illnesses. Yes, that's correct. Mai has the ability to heal people using her tears. Yuichi presumably sees the flashback we're shown, at least we have no reason to suspect he didn't considering he references it in future episodes, so he should know about her ability. So, when Shiori's arc comes around and we're told she's going to die from an incurable illness, guess who doesn't think to ask Mai for help? It was at this moment that I realized nothing in canon matters. If anything in the series mattered, then Mai's arc would be there for a reason beyond filling time and employing waifu bait. If anything in the series mattered, then Mai's ability would have been a Chekhov's gun that would have come into play in some form by the end of the series, but it's not. It's wasted potential. If that were it, then I might be able to forgive Kanon. I really might. But then there's all the characters which were actually believable and likable being treated as if they exist only to make the main character feel sad when they disappear. I'm issuing a challenge. Try to find a character in canon that, if they were written out of the story, would be missed. Ayu doesn't count since she's adorable and she is the only one who would be missed. It's sad to say because there were characters I really enjoyed, such as Shiori. If she were to vanish, however, nothing would change. In fact, she does vanish for half the series and nothing changes! Take Mai and Sayuri. They have their time in the spotlight and then poof, nothing. Sure, they make cameo appearances at the end, but that's it! Even Ayu disappears for a good majority of Makoto's arc, and the only time anyone in the cast notices is when she brings it up. It all comes to a head when Yuichi's aunt is literally crushed by a car.
What you say? Oh, that you only meant well, 'cause you did, what you say?
I won't lie, I cringed as soon as I saw this scene. was so sudden. In that moment, I was absolutely convinced Kanon was on a quest to kill off any character worth a damn. Shiori was dying of an incurable illness that inspires her sister to confess she doesn't have much time left in the second to last episode. Akiko was now a pavement pancake that was somehow in stable condition, and, to add insult to injury, it's revealed that the deepest part of Yuichi's forgotten memories included Ayu falling from a tree and seemingly dying. As it turns out, however, she was in a coma the whole time, leading me to believe she was an Ikiryo, just like Fuko Ibuki, which is how she was able to be with Yuichi for the entire series up until this moment. I want to emphasize, I didn't want Shiori, Akiko, or Ayu to die. I liked them. If they'd used the plot device that is Mai's healing tears to their fullest and brought them back with that, I doubt I'd be this upset. If that's how they chose to end this series, at the very least it'd make sense. But, unfortunately, instead of relying on the established plot device that they wrote into the series, they fell back on the concept of wishes. I kid you not. Where there was a realistic, logical way to reverse the terrible shit that was happening to the cast of Kanon, they instead decided to rely on the power of wishes. If there are any hardcore Kanon apologists out there, there's a chance you might say that Clannad 2 ends with them relying on the power of wishes, and to a point, you'd be right. But in Clannad, the concept of the light orbs granting a miracle was an established plot device that was used to reverse the terrible shit that happened to Tomoya, Nagisa, and Ushio. It wasn't pulled out of their ass at the last minute like it was in Kanon. For the sake of comparison, the light orbs in Clannad are equivalent to Mai's healing abilities in Kanon. If they'd come back around and used them like they did in Clannad, there wouldn't be a problem. Similarly, if Clannad pulled the happy ending out of its ass without sufficiently introducing the light orbs, or if they introduced the light orbs and didn't use them, I would be saying the same things about Clannad. But it didn't. I think what irritates me most about this is I really wanted to enjoy Kanon. I was excited because it was the dream team of Key and Kyoto Animation, the same team that would later produce Clannad. I think if I could end this review on a good note, the fact that they went on from Kanon to create what I believe is the perfect anime proves that as artists, we're all constantly improving. It doesn't matter if you're struggling to carve out your niche, or if you're part of a top-tier team of storytellers. The same rule applies to all of us.